Greetings and salutations, good folks. It is I, Lumpz the Clown, doing an emergency stream, and what I'll be playing today is Populous. Like, literally, maybe 10 minutes ago, having a discussion with the SNES drunk. He's one of my favorite tubers. Just got done talking with him, and Daria plays RPGs, about Populous. It looks like he's got some videos coming out, everything else, and looked like there might have been some, like how it's slow and a few other things like that. And I'm just here to, kind of show you folks how Populous plays and what to expect when you're going into this type of game, because this is the first screen that you see right here when you get into Populous. It says Tutorial, Conquest, and Custom, and it basically boils down to good versus evil. So good would be the blue army, red would be the evil army, and then evil, because whatever, it's all semantics at this point, but it's super simple. There is the ability to, I'll just pop into the custom menu here first and show you folks how this whole thing works out. If you click either one of those, you're going to immediately pop right into this. So if you press start, that will actually take you, they'll pause the game. At that point you can press select, and then you can bop into these menus here. You got a couple of different menus that you can access. This one here is the, I guess you'd call that the weights or whatever, I don't know what you would call that, the scale basically. Can modify land, so that means when it's pushed in like this, that means it's enabled. When it's taken off like this, that means it's disabled. You can modify land with this. You can attack towns. Towns would be where you see the buildings on the over map. And then can attack leader. So for the good army, that would be the Ankh, the big Ankh that he's carrying around. And then for the evil, that would be the Red Skull. And then we also have earthquakes. That is a natural disaster that you can trigger if you have enough mana to make it happen. Swamp, that is something that you can put on by yourself, and sometimes the overworld will actually send out these snails or these other animals to lay down a solid strip of swamp right down the middle of the map. So they go from from bottom to top. And that is absolutely terrifying, and the only way you can know that's happening is when you start hearing random squishes. I don't know if it'll happen in game here, because I'm going to plan on playing a couple levels. But you also have the night feature, which means you can send out a warrior who just relentlessly plows into towns and the enemy population, take them out one by one, knock out their towns, burn them, make their crops unusable. You also have here the volcano, which it doesn't spit lava everywhere. It's kind of a misnomer, but it just sends their land rocketing into the sky with this gigantic mountain with all these rocks and shit, and they can't build crops or towns on something like that because it's just all mountainous. There's no flat lands for them to build their towns. Flood would mean that it's going to flood everything that is on like level 1s through 3, I believe. So if you build your nation on a 4 tall flat piece of land, potentially flood may not hurt you. But if all of your enemies are on low land, then that flood will knock them out. You can do Armageddon, which eliminates all of your towns, and that will send all of the population, all of the regular folks, into the leader, and thus increasing their HP. And then at the end of the day, what happens is that the land is bridged between the two nations, and it's going to cause a war between the two leaders, and the strongest will survive. So all of the regular population sacrifices themselves to the leader, increasing their strength, and then the two leaders duel it out in a no-holds-barred death match. See who wins. Right here you can change and slide the aggression level of your enemy. So high, low, whatever. You can do a rate, which will be their rate of building, and also the, let me think here. It doesn't have anything to do with mana, like mana build. That's all dependent upon towns and shit. But rate of build, this would be for your enemies. That's how that whole thing works out. Let's pop in here into this other menu. I gotta grab my vape first. Hold up. Now, if you pop into this menu, this is different. This is your game setup. Now, in here, you could choose to either be good or evil. See how it hit evil? It turned red right there. You can do a human versus computer. You can do a computer versus computer, which I've actually done in the past before. I'll set all of the standards and everything for the game, and then I'll let the computer duke it out and see who wins. And then we've also have here Conquest and Custom Game. If you do Conquest, that's going to be the regular campaign that you've seen back there on the menu. And there's over 900 worlds in Conquest. So there's all different variations. There's actually different maps that occur. There's also different races. There's like a pig race. There's a Japanese one. There's also like a Super Age space one. But yeah, there is just tons of variety in this game. You can change the game speed right here. I was just talking about with Destinius Drunk. But you can move this up and down. And right there seems to be the standard. But you can move it up to fast if you like. And your guys will actually move like really fast too. It's hilarious. If you click game options, here you can set the whether or not water is harmful or fatal. So if your guys land in the water, if the water is fatal, they're instantly dead. But if it's just harmful, what's going to happen is you have an opportunity to save them. So like in a flood, say, you can raise the land where they're at, and then you'll be able to save them. Swamp is shallow or bottomless. So if it's bottomless, they immediately die when they touch it. Shallow, it just harms them. Can build, cannot build. So you can choose. I'm not quite entirely sure what this one is all about, but I think it has something to do with like towns and whether or not you can raise land and shit when they're around. Build up and down. Only build up. I believe this has something to do with towns. When you drop or raise or lower the land near a town, it'll downgrade from where it's at. So say you have a gigantic sprawling castle and then you raise up a hill right next to it, it'll go down to a different format. But I don't know if what's going to happen here. If you can only build up, that could potentially destroy it. I don't know. Now you can enable this one, and you can build near towns only, or you can build near people. So if your people are on the map that you're viewing at that particular moment, then you should be able to build near them when you got that enabled. If it's near towns, then you're not going to be able to unless you happen to see your flag flying right there. So what I'm going to do here, since we're in it, I'm going to go ahead and enable these features, and we will see what these actually do for the game. Because, like I said, tons of customization. But we will pop into there, and let's see where our guys are at. You can hold down your right bumper, and then you can fly through the map a lot quicker, like this. My guy is actually over here, so that's my guy. We'll unpause, and then we can actually do something once we enable the up-down feature. Let me see. I think I set it on, I think I still got it set on computer. Hold up. Wrong one. So we're going to drop that aggression down a little bit and their rate. I don't want to get my ass stomped because I can't even figure out what the hell's going on right now. But let's see. Human versus computer. We got that set up good. So cannot build. We just figured it out. Is that you cannot build. You can't drop or lower the land to create a flatter surface for your people to build towns on. So we are going to enable this can build. Because I was there on the menu. I'm playing as the good army, so I should be able to raise and lower those hills so I can create a flat surface for them to build towns on, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. But after enabling that option, there we go. I can use this to press B. Maybe. Oh, I can only build up. Okay, I get it. So that's the other option that we enabled on here, is that when you say build, it's talking about the land. So if I were to go in here and set this up, build up and down, then we should be able to lower that hill and then be able to give this guy something to build on. But I am completely out of mana right now, and hopefully he doesn't die. They can get exhausted, by the way. But let's go ahead and restart this map, and we'll test that option. I'm just going to double check and make sure that that is still enabled. Water is harmful. So we can build, and we can build up and down. So the only reason you would set up something like that is to see how the game progresses naturally without any sort of intervention from you, so you take on kind of a viewership stance, is what I gather. But we got that all under control. Now that we can build up and down, we can drop this. And I don't recommend setting your game speed too high because it seems to make the buttons super sensitive, as you can see here. One press and it just goes crazy. It registers almost as a double click. And my leader is absolutely freaking out. That's the leader, by the way. He was the one carrying that staff or whatnot. I think it's called an Ankh. I don't know. I mean, that's what it looks like. It looks like a giant Ankh. Alright, so that right there is a town. That is the best one you can get. So best... I don't know if there's any difference between defense or whatever, but there are perks to doing that. That means that your rate goes up the better that your towns are. So consider that an upgrade. Those two small structures down there are not on the same level as that castle. And if your people are camping out and they're not building towns fast enough, you can kick them out of their homes simply by lowering or raising the land right next to their place. Trying to get to a spot here where I can get up enough mana to actually perform some of the functions I wanted to show you guys. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Conquest instead, and then we'll play the first map, and then I'll be able to explain some of the actions in game better, because there was the command set of options down there on the left, and then on the right there would be the actions that you can perform, like Earthquake and junk like that. But let's go ahead and click into Conquest. So this kind of gives you a rundown before you go into a map. Genesis is the very first level 1 map, and I did mention there's over 900 worlds that you can get into. Battle number 0, landscape is grassy plains. There's also other ones too, like snow and other shit like that that you got to figure in for, because those are a little harder to traverse. But we got here the reactions, is 0, rating 0. So that means that the enemy is not aggressive, and the enemy will not build as fast. It looks like you can build near people and towns. Looks like swamp is bottomless, so if we touch the swamp, then it's going to kill us. After that, we got water, which is fatal, so the second you touch it, dead. It looks like population, you start out at 3. He's also going to be starting at 3, and I got a lot of benefits over him at this point. We have the ability to cast earthquakes, swamps, nights, volcanoes, and floods, and he can do none of those. So let's pop in here, and we'll play the first map. I'm really excited to actually be playing this again. I attempted to do a tutorial on this game way back in 2014, but back then I didn't have a microphone yet, so I wasn't able to do any audio, so everything was all text-based. Super early days of my channel. A lot of my super old videos I moved off of YouTube and put onto to a Daily Motion channel, but I haven't added a video there in years, but don't plan on doing so anytime soon either. I don't really like their user interface, to be honest. And YouTube has its problems, yes, but, you know, whatever. I can put them on there, and I'm not too worried about it. I mean, you can add the tags and everything else. Daily Motion seems super convoluted in a lot of ways. And that's the reason I haven't put anything up there. I got some old, like, music videos, some old captures that I used for from my Elgato video capture. Matter of fact, I mean, I don't even use that thing anymore. I actually gave it to the captain, but by the time he gets around to using it, I think it's going to be even more outdated. And the most that that's ever going to output is 480p. It was literally meant to make digital copies of your VHS tapes. That's what its intended purpose was. But back then, I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to make videos out of this, some video games. But yeah. So SNES Drunk looks like I got some videos coming out in regards to Populous. So this is more or less measures to educate folks on how to play Populous that may not know how to. It's a really good game if you know what you're doing, but yes, I will agree with them 100% that it is convoluted, and the only way I learned how to play this game is by simply jumping in there and trying to figure it out myself. So back in the early days, my brother and I we had this game, only picked it up for a couple bucks, and we would just try to figure out the commands, and we had a big notebook that we dedicated to passwords, trying to figure out commands and junk like that. Because, I mean, it's really kind of, you're not directly commanding your armies going on here. You're telling them a command, and then they can choose to follow it. So it's kind of like a true God game in that they have to have free will. But you can tell them the commands and they'll do it, but they'll do it in a passive manner. It's not like they just make a beeline right for whatever command you input. So that could be frustrating to some folks, but I mean, you're talking about population on a large scale here. You're talking about whole nations and shit. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of them things where it would be kind of hard to lead a crowd like that. But I'm kind of bummed that a lot of people have not really played Populous, you know, aside from PC nerds, you know, like back in the Amiga days and shit. So nobody's really moving around right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to boot this guy out by doing that. And then he will go out and build another town. They'll always default to trying to building the best, the best town, so to speak. So he did something stupid right there. He didn't really build the best one. But your fringe is always going to be those smaller towns, because as you get to the borders of the map like he is, then you're not going to be able to build out a castle like that. So we'll boot out the leader. He'll move along. And right now, I have here on the left side the flag enabled. So that means that they're just going to build towns. So right now, that's very important to build up the mana, which is in the top right there. I'm almost to the point where I can set an earthquake and I can unleash it on the evil army down there in the bottom left of that overworld map you see. But yeah, I can change this up to also drop the Ankh down somewhere. If anyone touches that, they become the leader. If I tell people to go to that, then they're going to go to the leader. So right now he's still alive. So all of the population, instead of building buildings, will go to this guy and increase his strength. You can go to a battle. I'm not quite sure what this one is. I think it just it's to get people in the same area and then increase the strength of your army. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So say that you got two guys out and they're just walking around trying to build. Instead of building something, they will actually run into each other and form into one, and then that would make them stronger. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. But I won't know until I get my population up a little bit. I don't want to activate a command like that right now when I don't have very many guys. But we're going to send him out and see if he builds anything awesome. Alright, so he built a castle. Now it's about a 3 to 4 minute cooldown, I believe. So if I were to try to get him kicked out right now, it's not going to work. Unless I do something drastic like that. Like I put that hole right next to him. And he's just building fringe towns right now. So it looks like I got other guys moving over here. The blue dot denotes the regular population just moving around on the map. White would be your towns. Alright, no one's really moving right over here, so let's kick some guys out. Cool. So now that we got two out, let's do this. Let's go ahead and change this to go to the people command and see what that does. Not really anything that I can see. Maybe we can goad these guys out of their houses. Alright, it appears I am still not entirely 100% clear on what that particular command does. Nobody's like really doing anything different from what I can tell. And this might... Oh, there it is. So go into people. That leader just got a whole bunch of HP. Okay, so I get it now. They're going to the leader. They're not building anymore. They're going to the leader and increasing his strength. So that's what that means. If the leader is dead, then you can elect to do this, which means they will go to the shrine, where you would need to touch in order to make a new leader in the event that this guy dies. So they'll all go there, go to battle, obviously. And then these right here in the brackets, I think is what they're called, you can view different things. First of all, you can view a battle, if it's going on. You can view a knight, if you happen to enact a knight. Which I'm going to be pretty much doing all of these here just to show you guys how the game works. You can view the shield, which I put on this guy through this question mark. I clicked it on the leader and you can see his stats up here. Pretty sure the left bar is HP and I think the right bar is attack power. And then he's got the weapon up there in the top right. I might be wrong about the bars. I haven't seen any indication because when they're in battle, it's the left bar that drops down rapidly as they fight. Over there on the left side of the shield, you see a meter that goes up to down, and in the bottom there you see a little blue area. That is the population going on and the strength of that population. And then over there you got the red. They're about the same level right now because it's still kind of early in the level. But over here you got your natural disasters. We have the earthquake, we have the swamp, we have the night, which is a really cool that I was telling you about him. He just takes out everybody. And then we got a mountain, so we can raise the volcanoes. We got the flood here, and then we got Armageddon. Now, when you click on either one of these, since they're an apocalyptic level deal, they'll actually turn red. They'll blink red slightly, and then I think you have to press the button one more time. You know, it's kind of like a "Are you sure?" type of deal. But let's get back into the game, and I only intend to play the first level on this to kind of give you guys the basic idea how to play Populous in the event that you ever get it on like GOG or something like that, which I plan on doing. I just started a GOG account, and I want to get that rolling. And the first game I'm going to buy on that account is Populous. I want to play it on PC, see how it goes, because I believe it's just an Amiga emulator. Is how it runs, or maybe like a DOS one, or like DOSBox, you know how that shit goes. You need to be able to play it on a modern PC, so those actually make amends for that. So you can, it gets everything together for you, and you can play it on a modern PC, because game was released like 89 or 90 or something like that. It's a super old game. But this is one that my stepmom, she actually works in a pawn shop. She picked it up for my brother and I, and we're like, oh, we'll give it a try. And we felt so enthralled with it. There's only one track in the game. There's really not a soundtrack to speak of. But that heart beating that you hear going on right now will actually change as the health of your population goes up or down. So right now it's like super slow and methodical, but say that I was on the brink of death and only had like one guy left and he had like a million of them. That heartbeat would be really rapid all of a sudden. So it adds a sense of depth to the whole proceedings and makes it a lot more alarming that, yeah, oh my god, I'm about to die type shit. Alright, we'll drop that down there, and then if I do that, that town will increase, that town will fall down, and that guy's got to build a new place. So, I could build the knight right now, but I'm not gonna. But let's drop a mountain over here, we'll slow him down. So, I mean, with all the game options that I showed you folks, it's not hard to imagine that there would be 900 worlds that you can get in this game. simply because of all, like you can, can you build, can you not build, can you build up, can you build down, can you build near towns, can you build near people, can they use this or that. So right now I've got the heavy advantage in that he can't hit me with natural attacks like that. So I just hit him with the volcano. I eliminated all that land as an option. So even if he did flatten that out, he still has to deal with the rocks. Now the only way to get rid of rocks is to drop them into the ocean. So you got to get the land all the way down to the first level, and then you got to like actually eliminate it, and then you can raise it back up again. So that's the only way you can do that. So in the middle of the world, each time you start, the shrine for to activate a new leader always winds up in the middle of the world map. So right now mine's right here. I think that I have to touch it first before I can move it onto land, so let's give it a try. If you want to plant it anywhere, you enact this feature, then you press the button. So yeah, now if I want to make a new leader, I can have everybody go to that, and it will make that leader super strong. As he builds better towns, he will get better weapons. So like right here, he's got like the sword going on. In the past, when he was living in that little shack, he had just a regular bow and arrow. So yeah, we actually just got him much beefier, and I think when he's inside of a building, that it shows the... I don't know what those 2 meters are because it's different when he's walking around. I think one of them turns into like stamina or something like that. If their stamina drops too low when they're walking, they will die, which is very important when you are like going through snow and the other ones. There's another one that's like ash and lava. I mean, that one's insane. I need these guys building, so let's do that. But I would consider this a real-time strategy game where you can't directly control your characters, and there's so many of them that, I mean, there's no way you could. That'd drive you insane. We're not talking Warcraft here, kids. This is straight-up population of hundreds of thousands. You can build your army out as big as you want. What I'm doing right now is I'm kind of taking the slow burn approach where I'm just building outwards. If you had the ability to use Flood, me building on the first level like this would actually be a big mistake, because then if he drops Flood, then everyone's going to die, especially if water's fatal. That would be a knockout punch. So we're getting that, and everyone is moving around, building like they're supposed to. So yeah, the commands work. You just got to know how to work them. So I was misinformed about the about this icon right here. All you got to do there is click that, and then everyone's going to go to your leader as long as he's still standing. I'm going to be dropping a knight here very soon as well. What I want to do is I want to build out to that little chain of islands that's out there in the middle of the map. And then once I'm there, it's just a matter of bridging the gap between the two nations, and then it's just going to be all-out war. You can let this go as long as you like. I'm just rolling with the generic game speed right now because this is the one that I played the most. I didn't really, fuck around with game speed, and as you saw, it increases the sensitivity of the buttons just 20-fold, and it almost makes it unplayable. But at this speed, you actually have the option of, knowing and pushing your buttons, and they do what they want you to do instead of like doing it twice or 3 times even. I couldn't imagine this game on maximum game speed. I think that'd be a nightmare. And this would be considered my updated tutorial in regards to Populous. In the event that anyone wanted to pick it up on GOG or something like that, they could, and they'll know how to play. Because I put tons of hours into this. I think my brother and I, for at least 2 summers in a row, played the shit out of Populous. And once I'm done with this first level, we'll have a little bit of fun. I'll show you some custom maps and show you the different races and stuff like that that you can play as, the different lands that you can go to. So we'll do one map legit, and then we'll have a little bit of fun after that. And remember, you can change how the game plays. Can build, cannot build, all that mess. You'd have to be a masochist to select cannot build. Why would you do that? I mean, you wouldn't be able to use, like, you'd have to just... you'd have to run solely on commands. That's the only way that I could see that that would work. You would have to go over there to that bottom left menu, and you would have to select stuff strategically in order to build up your population. You wouldn't be able to build. You'd be at the mercy of whatever the map was generated and threw at you. Even more so for custom games. I don't know if I want to build down more, but I think I want to fill in this area over here. So I think I might be able to squeeze one more castle out of this area. Boom, boom, boom. Alright, yep, we did it. Now they're going to build out further. We're almost connected to the island. Now I could turn my one knight loose, but before I do that, I want to beef up that leader some, because that's just going to make him even stronger. You know what, you're getting lazy, man. I don't see you moving around, so why don't you get out of there? And the more people that you have, the faster that they exit their buildings and actually start building more. So you won't have to do the goading all that much. Unless you're on the fringe here, because this guy, one of these guys is going to get kicked out. Who's it going to be? That guy. Alright. So he's got to move along. But that's all good, because we're going to build him a neat little plot of land over here that he could drop another castle on. Now he decided to build a house. It's all good. No judgment here. The only thing is that the houses aren't as strong, like structurally sound or whatever. I think when they go in there, there might be a synergetic relationship. I haven't figured it out quite yet. But say that someone's in a building and one of their knights or somebody were to attack it. They would be attacking them, not only them, but also the building as well. If it's a knight, then it's going to burn it down and then raise the crops. But if it's a regular person, like a good versus evil, like mono-y-mono type fight, then they're just going to take over the building. So say that an evil population attacked one of my castles right here, and they won. That flag would go from blue to red, and there you go. That's how that whole thing works. That's how battle works. So in the end of the day, you probably don't want to get your building raised by a knight, because that means that you'll have to fix those crops. The only way to do that is to raise and lower the land. And if you're getting beat up in a large scale, then it's a little harder to do because your mana is going to be limited. Alright, we're going to raise this up some. And I got my heater going over there because it is fucking cold today. I'm not used to being this cold all the time. This sucks. And I literally woke up about an hour ago and saw SNES Drunk was talking about Populous. And I was like, hey, you know, I like Populous. And then I realized that I haven't done a tutorial video on this since 2014. So yeah, totally time for an update. We are fully connected with those islands, so things are looking pretty fucking good right about now. If I build all the way out to the fringe of the map there on the left, then I'll be able to attack that dude from the north. I think that's what I'm going to do. My previous tactic I used to do is I'd connect the islands, and then I'd just go in like that. But I don't think I'm going to do that this time. I think I want to try something different and build out above him, and then we'll just come in from the north. Ha 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 ha! Alright, so we are building castles all over the place. Things are looking really good right now. But obviously, I mean, Genesis is one of the easiest maps you can do. Tutorial in this game is kind of a misnomer. I think what that is that it just says the enemy won't attack you or anything else like that. They don't do anything. But Genesis is kind of the same too, so it almost didn't make sense to include the tutorial. So that was kind of janky. I went in there hoping that I'd get like a full-blown like hand-holding, this is what these commands do, but no. You literally just go in there and you have to figure it out yourself. But you can do it on your own time because you have no threats. Maybe I can boot this guy out. Nope, he's been in there. Hasn't been in there too long, so he doesn't want to leave. If I reduce the town down to like a house, say, then yeah, he'll probably leave. But they're really stubborn when they don't want to. When they got a castle, they kind of get lazy on you. But maybe these guys up here might be different. Yep, that guy wants to get out. Now you don't want to like do it too close, because if you do, then you'll destroy that town and then they have to rebuild it anyway. So it's kind of a wasted effort. I'm kind of excited to do this tactic because as far as I can see, it looks like they... yeah, it looks like those lands are connected. Let me double check. We'll get down here. Now you can move the map faster by holding down one of the bumper buttons. Oh, the left bumper button. So yep, these two lands are connected. I'm going to drop a mountain here just because I'm an asshole. Boom! Alright, this guy here has the startings of a castle. We'll just go ahead and give him one. I'm not building down anymore. I actually, one time when I had a whole bunch of time to burn, that's what I did. I filled up the entire map, ocean, with land, and then people, of course, built all sorts of shit on it. And I was rocking the commands and everything else. But, we're almost connected with them. When I finally connect with them, I'm going to drop a knight down. And then, yeah, look at that. We're literally 1 block away. Okay. So I'm going to move him down there. Maybe if he wants to leave. These are kind of new towns, though, so they'll probably be stubborn. Yeah, no one wants to leave. Okay. And there's no one building right here. Maybe I can get this guy booted out. I think he's been in there for a second. Yep. Then we got the Red Army right over there. So once we get them connected, that knight is going to fly down there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this Ankh down, this shrine. We'll put it right here, and I'm going to have everybody go to that. But since the leader's still alive, I think that's why they're going this way. It's the only thing I can think of. It would be nice if you can have them just go, you know, to that shrine, and then I can centralize it. But no, the leader's way the hell over here. And you can see his strength increasing, so every time he runs into a guy, he gets a little bit more strength there on the right. So I'm going to fill that up about 3, 4, 5 times over, and then we'll turn him into a knight. Everyone's still walking into him, and let's see which one drops the most when he's walking. Okay, I think it's the right-hand bar that is your indication for stamina. If that drops to 0, your guy dies. But we'll boot them out, and we'll see what boosts up when they run into him. Alright, so it looks like the right-hand one dropped a little bit because of the stamina, but then the left one raised up. So it's safe to say that the HP is represented on the left bar and in the top right shield, and then the right one is your stamina. And towns will produce an unlimited number of people. Walkers is what I call them. And right now, they're not even building anymore. They're going to the leader because that's the command I inserted, and that's pretty much Populous in a nutshell. So if you couldn't build, then I would see how that present an interesting challenge. I'm kind of glad I figured that out here with you guys. So we can bridge these 2 lands, and that would be into the day. So I'm going to let that cook for a little bit longer, and then once we're ready to ride, I'm going to turn him into a knight, and then we'll do a slow burn deal. You can do that. You can continuously create leaders and then thus turn them into knights. And since this guy's beefed up now, I'm going to go ahead and turn him into a knight. And their only goal is to destroy. So if they, I'll show you a knight battle as soon as he gets into one. Oh god, there's their leader already. So you see that bar over there in the bottom right? I don't quite know what that means just yet, but he just destroyed my knight. That is not good. So their leader was stronger than mine, and he killed my knight, no problem. I wasn't expecting to bump into him so soon. So it looks like we're getting into a battle royale here. Everyone's just kind of flying into the fold. And he is fucking everybody up. This ain't good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have everybody go to battle. Uh-oh, they just took over that. That's not good. So in a last-ditch effort, what you can do is you can trigger Apocalypse. Flood's pretty obvious. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm on a low land. So let's go ahead and do Apocalypse. So, yep, confirm, and everyone is going to meld together into one gigantic battle. So that strat didn't quite work out like I thought it would. My knight was a little weaker than he should have been. You honestly should let that cook. You can let it cook up to like 10 minutes, and then you make an absolute powerhouse of a knight. But everyone's going to kind of centralize right here. I'm going to see who wins. So it looks like their leader finally fell. And they're all going to the center of the earth. And this is what Apocalypse looks like, kids. Or they call it Armageddon here. So my guy's pretty beefed up. He's got full HP from the looks of it. Alright. So highest score in Genesis. Battles won 15. So every time they get into a fight, that's me. He won 9 of them, but he got a really insane lead there in the beginning, so that's why I triggered Armageddon. And I had the most guys, so thus I ended up winning the battle. So let's go and do a new game. So it looks like my Chivos put me on the leaderboard for Genesis, so pretty awesome, I guess. Alright, and this one is the desert. So this is another landscape that you can get into. We'll go ahead and start. So we'll just do a quick perusal on this. Desert, you can't really walk around in too much, or your guys will run out of stamina because obviously it's hot and it's inhospitable and all that mess. But that's what this one's all about. There's different rules for different terrains and also races. So you have to deal with all different types of variables. The races all have their own deal that they have going on. Obviously the humans, you know, are resilient and everything else, so they can deal with inhospitable lands a lot better than, say, the pig race that we can do. Let's jump in there and I'll show you some of those. So we'll do a custom game. We will do com versus com because obviously I don't want the pressure while I'm doing this. We'll increase the game speed, and then we can move to the next landscape. So we already saw the grassy plains. We saw the desert. Let's see what the next landscape is. Alright, so this is the snowy plains. And it's the same map still. So there's all these pre-generated maps, and you never get really the same experience twice, especially if you're doing a custom game. Not much there really, other than you can't move around all that much. Your movement's reduced even more, and I think your guys even walk slower. But we'll go to the next landscape. And this one is rock and ash. This one is difficult in that it's hard to tell the level of the terrain that you're building on. Simply because of the way that everything's shaded and colored. So that represents kind of a new challenge for you. And rock and ash, also inhospitable lands. The difficulty goes up the further you go in, I'm starting to gather. But yep, we'll do that, and we'll pop into the next one. We'll see what the next landscape is. I haven't quite figured out what this is. It looks kind of like an alien race of sorts. Now this land I don't think is too inhospitable. from what I gather. Or maybe these guys are more resilient. But the buildings are different. That was represented by a castle, but for some damn reason they dropped that down. And since this is a custom game, I'm just kind of intervening, and they got their own plan going on. The computer's playing for us. Let's check out the next landscape. Alright, so this is that pig race I was telling you about. These guys have, like, no stamina whatsoever. But they are kind of cute to look at. And then you got their crops, which look like they got little flowers going in them and everything else. The trees change as well. But let's go to the next one. Now, if I click Move to Next Map, it's just going to change the layout of the land. So if I do something like that, the pig race will remain, but they're going to be on a different map. Yep, so now they're all over here. Now we'll move to the next landscape. I think that booted me back to Grassy Plains, which I didn't want, but whatever. I think it was because I was playing that on the original game, so whatever, I don't know. But now this one I'm not quite sure of. I think this is like Candyland or something like that. But let's see what the people look like. I think they're mice. Matter of fact, I'm almost sure they're mice. Yep. So, yep, they're mice. And he is burning through that mana. So, but I already built a castle. And this is a great game if you want to do spectator. The only problem that I have with it is that since it's isometric and it's limited to a small part of the screen, you don't really get to see the action full out. And you can't zoom out and see it from that, which would have been nice. But I think you can do that in Populous at the beginning. I'm not entirely sure. But that would be pretty awesome if you could. I'm going to go to the next landscape. So yeah, that was like Candyland and crackers and shit like that. So that was pretty sweet. So this is like future, is what I think it is. I'm trying to boot a guy out so you can see him walking around. But maybe I got one over here. Yep. So these are like little alien guys, and it's like a futuristic electronic style deal going on here. It didn't look like the land was too hospitable. My guy that was walking around there just disappeared, and that's because he died. He ran out of stamina, so that's what happens. There's no ceremony or anything that comes along with that type of death. They just run out of stamina, and they wink out of existence. Well, we're doing really good there, but let's go ahead and move to the next one. Alright, so this is French world. So yeah, everything here is French. You got the French flag flying. You got these guys here that wear berets. See if I can kick this guy out. Yep. So I don't know what their particular traits are, but every race has different traits. So, you know, do they have high stamina? Do they have low stamina? But this is French world, and all the architecture and everything is French. So like you got the Arc de Triomphe right there. You got a French castle. And then you can move to the next one, and I'm pretty sure this one's the Japanese samurai world, but let's take a peek. Kind of sounds like it. Yep, so this one's Japanese. So all the architecture and everything here would scream like ancient feudal Japan. I want to see one of these guys moving around. Yep, there he is. So they're wearing a little kimono, everything like that. Things are pretty awesome. I'm a big fan of Japanese culture, by the way. So in case you guys have this fun fact for you. But I got a cousin who's even more into it. He's actually been to Japan, I think, 3 times, 4 times, something like that. But yeah. Alright, we got all that going. You get the idea. Guys are the same versions, the different army. They're just in red. Let's check out the next map. We might go back to Grassy Plains, I'm not sure. I hit next map, but it kicked me over to another Japanese world, so maybe that might be it, I don't know. I think I hit next map, my bad. I was supposed to hit next landscape. And it boots you back to Grassy Plains. And that is Populous in a nutshell. If you plan on picking this up on GOG.com, I will be releasing this on YouTube down the road. You know, I got to wait about 48 hours or so, it'll be up. But yeah, hopefully this will help you enjoy the game a little bit more when you finally get to it. But I highly suggest trying this out if you're any sort of fan of real-time strategy games mixed with God games. So, you know how with Sim Earth, it had a good opportunity there and it totally biffed it? Well, Populous actually does it right. So, as long as you know how to play the game and everything else like that, this is actually very fun. And I highly suggest folks of those genres check this game out. But either way, this is Lumpz the Clown. I want to say thank you very much all for tuning in for my Populous tutorial. Lumpz the Clown out.
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.